Welcome back to Total Chaos. Today we're going to be talking about a sequel so unhinged, so chaotic, and so dependent on a 1980s cinema gimmick that it almost destroyed the greatest shark franchise in history. When you hear Jaws, you think of Steven Spielberg, Amity Island, and the unmatched cinematic tension. But by 1983, Universal Studios decided what the franchise really needed was a theme park, disposable glasses, and a 35-foot mechanical shark blowing through a glass window. Jaws 3D is a fascinating disaster. It holds a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, earned 5 Golden Raspberry nominations, including one for the Shrieking Dolphins, and still somehow made $88 million at the box office. But to really understand this movie, you have to look at the chaotic production that almost turned into a comedy, and the actual bona fide plot that was way crazier than you remember.
You don't swim?
Believe it or not, Jaws 3 was originally supposed to be a spoof. Producers David Brown and Richard Zanuck actually commissioned National Lampoon writers, including the legendary John Hughes, to write a comedy titled Jaws 3 People Zero. They even looked at casting Bo Derek and Richard Dreyfuss. So why didn't we get a Jaws comedy? Because Steven Spielberg stepped in. He hated the idea of spoofing his masterpiece so much that he threatened to completely sever ties with Universal Studios if they made it. The studio backed down, scrapped the comedy, and hand the reins over to Joe Alves, the production designer for the first 2 films, to make this serious sequel. But theaters needed a hook. The 1980s saw a massive revival of 3D technology, with movies like Friday the 13th Part 3. So Universal slapped a hyphen on the title and armed Alves with a 3D camera.
Jaws 3D. The third dimension is terror.
This meant half the movie was designed specifically to shove things in the audience's face, like severed arms or fish heads. And to make sure nobody from the original cast could stop them, they entirely recast the film. Roy Scheider specifically signed on to the movie Blue Thunder just to ensure he was not legally available to play Chief Brody. So, what is the actual plot of this 3D fever dream? We leave Amity Island for SeaWorld Orlando, where Chief Brody's grown-up son Mike Brody is now working. Mike, played by the wildly energetic Dennis Quaid, who later admitted he was heavily using cocaine in almost every frame of this movie, is the chief engineer of the park's brand new underwater viewing tunnels. His girlfriend Kay is a senior marine biologist. The park is run by Calvin Bouchard, played by Louis Gossett Jr. He's a fast-talking executive who only cares about ticket sales. The inciting incident begins with a terrifying maintenance failure. A park mechanic named Shelby Overman dives in to secure the lagoon gates, but he never comes back up. While Mike and Kay are searching for Overman in a mini submarine, which has some terrible 3D effects, they stumble across a 10-foot juvenile great white shark that has slipped into the park. Instead of panicking, Bouchard and his visiting friend, a thrill-seeking hunter named Philip Fitzroyce, sees a $sign. Against Kay's protest, they capture the baby shark and put it on display. But great white sharks don't survive in captivity. The baby shark dies almost immediately the next day, ruining the park's PR. But things go from bad to catastrophic when Shelby Overman's body reemerges in a viewing tunnel. Kay examines the body and makes a horrifying realization based off the bite radius. The baby shark didn't kill Shelby Overman. It was a 35-foot behemoth that is now trapped inside the park and out for revenge. So once the 35-foot mother is flushed out of her hiding spot inside of a filtration pipe, all hell breaks loose. She attacks the underwater cafe, injures a water skier, and causes a massive leak that threatens to drown everyone inside of the viewing tunnels. Enter Philip Fitzroyce. He decides he is going to lure the massive shark back into the filtration pipe, hoping to kill it on live network television for fame and glory. He successfully lures the beast inside, but his rope that he tethered to escape snaps, trapping him inside the pipe with the monstrous great white. Fitzroyce tries to use a bang stick. It does absolutely nothing. The current of the filtration pipe is so strong that it actually ends up pushing Fitzroyce into the beast's mouth. During the struggle, Fitzroyce pulls out a grenade. But before he can even pull the pin on the grenade, he's killed in the shark's mouth, in what I would consider to be one of the most terrifying scenes in any of the Jaws films. Desperate to save the trapped tourist, Calvin Bouchard makes a fatal error. He orders the filtration pipe to be shut down, hoping to suffocate the shark. Instead, this allows the beast to break free from the pipe. She immediately attacks Mike and Kay after she escapes. But they are saved by the heroic intervention of Cindy and Sandy, the park's 2 captive dolphins. This brings us to the climax, which features some of the most famously ridiculous special effects in cinema history. Mike and Kay make it to the underwater control room to manage the evacuation. Suddenly, the 35-foot great white mother appears outside of the window and literally smashes through it headfirst through the glass, flooding the room. The shark is thrashing, water is pouring in, and all hope is lost. But inside the shark's mouth, Mike notices something grim. Lodged inside the shark's throat is a half-digested corpse of Philip Fitzroyce. In his cold, dead hand sits the grenade that he was gripping before he died. Using a bent metal pole, Mike reaches into the shark's mouth, hooks the pin of the grenade, and yanks it out. He and Kay dive for cover as the grenade detonates, blowing the 35-foot mother shark into pieces, sending a pair of bloody, disembodied jaws flying directly at the camera lens. Mike, Kay, and the dolphin survive. SeaWorld is saved. The credits roll. Jaws 3D was shredded by critics. Famed writers Richard Matheson and Carl Gottlieb worked on the script, but executive meddling chopped up the final product. Even with terrible reviews, it had the second highest box office opening of 1983. However, the franchise was bleeding out. The total box office was $300 million less than the original Jaws, leading to the eventually nailed to the coffin Jaws the Revenge. But looking back, Jaws 3D is entirely watchable if you grab a big bucket of popcorn and embrace the madness. It's a time capsule of 1980s 3D gimmicks, theme park horror, and a cast acting their hearts out against a rubber fish. What is your most ridiculous moment of the Jaws sequels? Let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you subscribe for more movie videos, I guess you could say. Thanks for watching, and stay out of the water.